everybody. This is Mauricio. Thank you for being with us one more time with the Chaplains Talk. I'm so happy and so excited to have my friend who is already impacting and doing the word by serving the community, Jessi Salgado. How you doing, Jessi?
Hi, good. Very good. How about yourself?
Nice to have you. I'm doing great. Nice to have you on the Chaplains Talk show where we talk and we do what we say and we say what we do. This is about serving the community. This is about helping others. And when we help others, we feel this sense of joy. I don't know if you had experienced that, but when I serve, I have that joy. It makes me happy to serve others and to see others improve. What do you think about that, Jessi?
Yeah, it's a great feeling to see how someone that's been broken and then you're there to help them, and then you see a brand new them, something that you never seen before. Even within themselves, they see like something growing out of them, and then once you see like that glow in their eyes and they start moving forward, you can see what they're actually able to do coming out of brokenness.
Well, Jessi, as you know, I have the privilege to serve in Humanitarian Diplomatic Alliance chaplaincy. And what we do is that we do ministry as we go. We
Yeah.
we help people, we support people, and a good definition of chaplains for those who don't have a clear picture of what a chaplain is. Chaplain is someone who's able and is willing in voluntary basis to provide help, spiritual support during peace and during crisis. And regardless of their pigmentation, regardless of what they are, their financial condition, their education, look, that doesn't matter. When they need help, we are hoping to be nearby, to be there so we can help. So that's a chaplain. I had the honor to meet you. I met you in Vegas, I believe, the first time.
Yes.
Get to see
Yes.
you was in Las Vegas when we were having a chaplaincy event. And then since you were already doing this type of work, as you do your work, so that's the difference. That you do
Yeah.
your regular work, but at the same time you have this sense of alertness, awareness, and you always on the clock, and you have your sensor on all the time to see who's needing some help, and I noticed that. So I'm so happy that you are part of Humanitarian Diplomatic Alliance chaplaincy, and thank you very much for being with us. Jesse, I have a few questions for you. That's how we handle our show. We ask questions because we believe that you have the answers. I have been blessed by having very special people in different categories, and what do you do? It's amazing. Tell us something first about Jessi Salgado. Who's Jessi Salgado, and what do you do, and how do you handle to mix that ministry side with your work side, and at the same time be one of the best employees in your company, for example?
Um, well, I grew up in Chino, and so my dad worked in construction. He put me in there. I started working there from the ground up. I went from a laborer to a mason, and now I'm now a foreman. So now I'm
Oh,
able to teach people of what I've learned and how to do things correctly. And then I expanded from there because we have to work as a team. So if one of my coworkers is not doing so well, you have to help them, because you guys are doing something together. And so that ministry kind of comes into play of, okay, there's something bothering me with him at home because he's either missing work or he has an attitude or or he's just struggling. He's not thinking straight. And you can tell we spend time together for 8 to 10 hours, you know, sometimes more than that for overtime. And so you pretty much built a friendship with everybody, make sure everyone's okay. And that's where that ministry kind of grew with me. And then I started to notice that the job was getting easier. And I did my toes more into the ministry area to where I can help more and more people, to where it's just like an everyday thing, something that you're supposed to do, because I like getting treated right. I like when people help me because it helps me grow. So if I like that myself, then why not do it for somebody else?
Wow. I heard things are easier. Things become a lot easier when you work as a team.
Yes.
So are you basically telling me that when everybody feels good, in a good mood, happy, that they belong to something, or they're part, or they're crucial, or they're needed, or they could finish something? They have that sense of teamwork.
Yeah.
The work
Yeah.
can be finished probably sooner, or
Yeah.
on
It's
time,
like,
on time, on time, and what's the right word? The atmosphere of work
uh-huh.
is better. Is that what it is? Can you tell me something about it?
Um, it's just, it's like a feeling. It's hard to really explain because they're the ones going through certain situations, and just knowing that people are there for you, even though they see your flaws, like that love that you're pouring into that person, that fear goes away. And then you see this new person that is not afraid of showing of who they really are. And they do it by just working. You can tell, you can see it through the work. You can tell by the way they speak.
Just to get an idea, how big is the crowd or the crew that
My
you
crew
work with?
can my crew can range from 2 guys to about 20 guys.
Hmm.
I'll manage like 20 people at
Oh wow.
times. Yeah.
Okay, and all of them work in construction. They have experience, or they don't have experience? Because I
Uh
heard you saying that you train them. So there's some
yeah.
newbies, right?
Okay, so that's where you assessed. You see who's new, who's not, who has experience, because they speak it, but when they're really doing it, you can see where they're lacking. So once you see where they're lacking, you you go ahead and teach them the correct way. Help them grow, and then you can't really judge the person by its cover, because you can have guys that are super young that have a lot of experience. Then you have these old timers that are coming in that don't have experience at all, or they're just too stubborn. They just want to do whatever they feel like they should be doing. So you have to work through all that chaos and then make it work.
Well, I was laughing. I'm sorry, but when you said they speak it but they don't work it, somehow came to my mind like some people speak kingdom but they don't work the kingdom. So I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
powerful. I have to be honest. One of the values from humanitarian diplomatic alliance is to be transparent and to be honest. And
Hmm.
I'm not ashamed of who I am and who I was. I never deny. And one of the things that I learned actually in a maintenance job, and he's going to be watching this. His name is Philomeno White.
Hmm.
He's a lead maintenance supervisor in the apartment complex industry, level A. I didn't know anything. So he was telling me how to do things the right way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was involved in ministry. And one time I was on the schedule to work on call during the weekend. And I had to speak in a church in the city of Victorville, California. And I asked him if he can cover me if I got any calls during the time that I was going to be preaching. And he said, yes, I'm willing to work for you if I get any calls. And I went. I had a great time in church. It was awesome. A lot of people, maybe 200-300 people. And I forgot that he was coming. I got so emotional. And I was drinking coffee and I was eating with friends. And I was over 4 or 5 hours. And he called me. He said, hey, Maurice, how long is it going to take your teaching? It's been 5 hours already. I said, well, I finished about 3 hours ago. And he said, well, you asked me to cover for 2 hours and for 5. And this was his comment, and I learned a lot, and hopefully helped someone today. This is what he told me. If you do ministry the way you work, I never want to come to your church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's really, really
And then he said, you know what? Take your time, finish doing what you're doing. I'll see you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened tomorrow. First thing in the morning. He told me, he brought me a cup of coffee and we talked for a little bit. And he told me, there should not be a difference between your ministry and your work.
Yeah.
And I learned my lesson. And I'm so happy to share it with you and whoever is watching it or whoever is going to watch this video.
Yeah.
We can't be right in church and not be right at work. We have to be the same.
Yeah.
So, Jessi, you have different type of people coming. I noticed that. I know that in the construction industry, you have a lot of flow. People come and they get a better job somewhere else, or they move.
Yeah.
Or they're looking to get to AC or something, different area, and they have to leave from your company. Then you have like new people all the time. And how do you work with that? And not as an employer, not as a foreman, but when you see, how do you notice when they need help? And how do you handle to approach to them so they can listen to you? And how do you, that part, a lot of people don't know how to do it.
I just be me. You know, I show them that I'm loving, I'm caring, and I want them to grow. And I prove that to them, because a lot of people that are hurt or broken, you can tell because they isolate themselves. You know, but once I pay attention to them more and I give them assignments to help them grow so that they can see that they can do it, they start opening up. They're the ones that are coming to me. I don't need to force anything on them when they're hurt. But that's not my area. That, you know, I'm not going to invade their privacy. They go ahead and turn to me because I gave them a confirmation of that I can help them in certain parts in their lives, whether it's work or if it's at home, and they see it through all my other workers that are there. You know, and those other workers that I have that been there with me, they speak for me. I don't have to really say anything. They'll just come up to me, they'll pull me in private, you know, and then they'll start saying whatever's that's bugging them. And, you know, piece by piece, when they open up little by little, it becomes something big. Then they lay out everything, and and then they want me to really, they tell me what their goals are, what their dreams are, you know, and I help them with that. And if they do leave, it's because they're chasing their dream. They want something bigger than what they have now.
Wow, that's amazing. Hey, whoever is watching, remember, you can always leave your comments, and we will try to reply back or answer your questions. I believe that this is amazing. This is awesome. I'm going to tell you why. I was a chaplain in the military, and we have infantry people, we have artillery, we have different areas, and I was in all of them. And soldiers are soldiers, rough. They're training to fight, so they have this ability to hide inside of them.
Yeah.
The frustrated children that they have inside. Mm-hmm. They know how to handle that. They know how to, you know, they don't want the whole battalion to know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
So once again, another lesson that I learned.
Yeah.
With a chaplain, you had a chaplain who was from Korea, Chaplain Kim. You have his assistant who was me, Hispanic, and we were there to do ministry to Caucasian African American communities and Asian communities. The troops out in the woods. Mm-hmm. So they're inside tanks and Bradleys and you name it. So In my mind, I thought that we were going to be there, just get off the car, grab your Bible, and go preach.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Number one, nobody wants to listen to you after they work 14 hours. I mean, like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I told the chaplain, what are you doing? I mean, we drove this far just to park here and sit here, and we're not doing our work. And he
Yeah.
said, yes, we are. Yes, we are. I said, well, tell me, how are we working? And he said, in the chaplaincy, which is where we are right now, there's something called ministry of presence.
Hmm.
Now, like, what is that consistent of? You just gotta be there.
Yeah.
They know you're here. They know we're here. If they need me, they're gonna come to me.
Okay. Yeah.
And they in their mind, they're thinking the chaplain is here. This is my time to talk to a chaplain or his assistant. And I told him, do you think they're gonna walk all the way over here? I said, no, we're gonna go when the food arrives. They set tables, and these guys from the kitchen. This is talking about construction and working and the working environment.
Yeah.
So they're gonna put the food. I'm gonna be in the corner at the beginning. I'm gonna say good morning and good evening. I want to talk to them. And by the end, at the other side of the table, you're gonna be there with a little notebook, ready to take names. Who wants to talk to me? They're gonna tell me. And that's exactly what happened. We served food and said, hey, how long are you going to be here with the chaplain? What do you think I can talk to the chaplain? I just set the time. Just set the time.
Yeah.
And then we spent 3-4 more hours doing ministry. So thank you very much for what you do. I believe it's needed. And you don't have to have a chapel or a building inside the building that you're building in order to help people. I would just,
Yeah.
do what you do and as a natural way. So now that we have clear how we can do ministry of presence and help people, what is for Jessi Salgado? Do you have a definition, or what do you think that is a chaplain or should be a chaplain?
To be a chaplain is you take the journey to see what God is doing in your life. How He's helping you heal from your wounds, the past traumas that you've been through. How long it's been taking, the process. Learn about process, because a lot of people, they forget about the process. They forget about patience because now they're just rushing so much to just get God into other people's hearts. Go back and rethink of what happened with you, and then how long it took you to heal from certain things, and then you'll have an understanding with the other people, and then just show what God is doing in your life, and then you're gonna see people coming to you. If you're going through a lot of storms, if you have a lot of things happening to you, and you're still standing, even though you don't think you're doing anything, but you're still standing. You have the characteristics of a chaplain, because you're just waiting to see what's there. This part of believing, this part of faith, that there's something that's going to come out of darkness, but you just don't know what it is, but you're still standing and waiting.
So basically, what you're saying is that we can use our own experiences,
Yes.
to understand others.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed some places they have like a sheet with questions. What are you here for? Financial problems, marital problems. So they check mark what they're living, what they're going through at that time. And I believe that might help to give you an idea
Yeah.
of what you're going to be talking about, but not the experience.
Yes.
So the experience is something else, because when you have gone through something, you can tell, I have done that, I've been there, and I came out of there.
Yeah.
You can make the path easier for them. And one of the answers that you send us through our questionnaire, talking about questionnaires, you mentioned miracles.
Yeah.
So that really caught my attention. because I have heard a lot of people, they love and they talk about miracles, but they do it in a building called church.
Yes.
So I like to hear about these miracles.
These
Uh,
miracles. Okay.
and I understand that I'm not actually maybe physical, but the miracle of deliverance. So tell us about it. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Okay, so there's different categories of miracles,
Okay,
and
tell
some
us about
and so people have an expectation of what they want a miracle to be like, but it's not it. So I have two stories. My mom had
it.
cancer. She was fighting
Oh,
cancer for about 10 years.
wow.
She wasn't going to a church to get prayed for. She was pretty much praying in the hospital setting. And then when we're at home, she was just hoping to see what's going to happen next. The doctor gave her a deadline, told her she only had 3 months to live, and then that was it. There was nothing they can do. She should start preparing to not be here anymore. So those are the rough 3 months that I ever experienced with her through that journey. And one day she was telling me she was preparing everything, and then she wanted me to pull the plug when it's time. And at the last month, she changed. Something was put into her, and she was like, you know what? I want to live. I
Don't
don't
pull the
want to
plug.
die. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
She wanted to
Understand.
live. And I didn't understand at that moment because I was young. But,
Mhm.
and I asked her, why do you want to live? And she goes, well, I want to see you guys become something. And so
Oh,
that was her momentum to keep fighting. And then she overcame that. She overcame the due date. God gave her
right.
grace to overcome because she was praying that she wanted something different. She didn't want to die. She didn't want to give up. Even though she
Oh,
did in the beginning, but
mhm.
towards the end she changed her mind. And that was a miracle. I seen what God was doing to
That's
for
amazing.
her to give up, to fall, to just like, you know what, that's it, no more, to all of a sudden in a couple of days just like, you know what, I want to live. I want to keep fighting. I know I'm in pain, I know I'm suffering, but I want to keep fighting. There's more out there for me to see than just for me to give up. That was her momentum. That was her turning point to where she was seeing God at that moment. And it wasn't that easy because she was still going through cancer throughout more years, but she came out of it. She had no more cancer. She was happy. She was okay. um, 2 years later she was diagnosed with lupus, but she remembered of her turning point of where she was talking to God, and God again helped her again. Her lupus is disactivated, is what they're saying, so it's not overtaking her anymore. She had 5 tumors, which somebody did pray over her, and they were gone. We went to go back to get X-rays, and the tumors weren't there anymore.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
she had 3 hernias that no one knew, but she had 3 hernias because she felt really, really sick, and she passed out, and then she woke up in the hospital, and they took them out. And until today, she's living. She's hiking. She's traveling. She's doing
It's
all these kinds
amazing.
of things. Even
Wow.
though she went through all this surgeries, they took
Yes.
mostly everything out, and she's still standing strong. And she loves God. No matter what she's going through, no matter what obstacle that's heading her way, she loves God, and that's a miracle. Now, another miracle is one of my guys at work. He was in prison for about 10 years, 15 years, around there. Went from company to company. Nobody liked him because of his attitude, because he was very aggressive. And so, because
Oh,
he had that mentality that's in the prison life. And so when he
no.
came out here, he was just aggressive. He didn't want to be told what to do or anything like that. And when he just landed with me one day, and yeah, it was rough, but I overcame that with, I know there's something in him that he can do better. Because I seen how he works. It's just his attitude with that. So I had to filter out the goodness and the badness, and I had to show him that attitude, it wasn't going to get him anywhere, but his skills and his passion is going to get him somewhere. And it took him about 2 years to figure that out. And working with him, I spend my days with him for like about 8 hours a day, six days a week. So he really got to know me, know my flaws, know my mistakes, know how I minister. And and he tested me to see, hey, people from church don't do that. You're not supposed to get angry. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. I'm like, well, I'm a human being too, and I'm working on some things. And he felt more relieved that he's like, oh, okay, so if you can make mistakes, then I can too. But then also know those mistakes and then work on them. And now that he was understanding that, now he went from a troublemaker to where everybody wants to work with him. He gets pulled away from me all the time because whenever they have an opportunity to pull him away, they recommend him than anybody else that's been in that company for years. So I can, and that's a miracle. And he's seen that miracle, because he thought in the beginning that no one cared about him. They're just gonna judge him for his tattoos or about his past. And now they're not. They're now seeing him of who he really is inside. A nice guy. He's very dedicated. He's very passionate, and he loves to laugh. He loves to make people laugh. We're working in 120-degree weather when it's super hot, and he's there making jokes, making the day go by faster, and it doesn't seem hot anymore. That's because
he sets the atmosphere.
Yeah, he sets the atmosphere. And that's very, very powerful for somebody to set the atmosphere when it's super hot outside and then you have to work hard. For him to just change all that and you don't feel the heat anymore, that's very powerful stuff. Those are miracles that you're seeing of what God can put into people.
I believe that God has anointed you with some a lot of words of wisdom and wisdom. And you mentioned 5 words that I'm going to mention. And I'm going to invite you. We have to find a time to come back and share with us about 5 more programs, because I like to elaborate a little bit. But before we go, I'm going to say those 5 words, but I want to ask you for one. You use the word give up. I want you to talk about that before we close. Then you mentioned the word momentum.
Yeah.
So we want to learn what's the momentum. What's the time, the season, and the momentum. Pretty interesting topic. Turning point. I want to hear about turning point, because I believe that a lot of listeners and viewers right now are on their turning point as we speak. Yeah. They just don't know where to go. And then you said the word transformation. This guy was transformed.
Yes.
So he stayed in the same place, but his mindset was transformed. So that's the word number 5 is mindset. But do you have a few words of encouragement for those who are watching or listening, those who wants to give up, that people who wants to quit, and they said, you know what, that's it, I'm done. A few words that are burning in your heart, and that you can tell them so they don't give up and they can be with us during the next show, please.
Okay. When you're about to give up, or you feel like there's nothing happening that's good, just take time to analyze what can you see that's good. Look for something that's good when you feel like there's nothing good, or create it, because you can create it. And with that little time that you take that deep breath, that's can be a turning point, and that's where you see your transformation, and that's where it can bring you that momentum. We have to not dwell in our emotions too much, but just like put it to the side for a little bit and see, okay, analyze what's really going on. You're still alive, you're still walking, you're still standing. Even though you're in the storm, you're still standing.